Okay, we're going to continue with the A clarinet. We did the lower joint. You've got some videos on that. We're going to do the upper joint. I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to adjust the camera here. And move the camera that way. Okay, I've got this cable in my way. Oh, one of these days. Alright, I still have this cable in my way. So, I'm going to move things over a little bit. This direction. And of course the cable, the power cable is pulling the camera. Oh, one day, one day. Alright, we talked about the register tube. And I took the register tube out. I tried to show it to you in the video in the camera. If you look at these two, this is the stock one. This is the one I'm going to put in. Remember, we talked about the long one protruding into the bore too much, and that affects the response in the upper register, particularly the A and the B. Try playing Pines of Rome, soft, you know. We're going to exchange the long one for the short one. So, I've taken them out. The other thing you're going to see is, I don't know if you can really tell, but these are tapered. They're not straight. It's an older design. If you look at newer ones, they're straight, a straight cylinder, and they have a little flange on the end. These cannot go in to where these came from because this is straight. It won't go into that hole because this is tapered, just like this. So you can't replace the tapered vent tube with a straight vent tube. So, but I'm going to take the shorter one out, or longer one out, and replace it with the shorter one. And what I do is I just stick it in there. I warm up the tube a little bit, and you want to be careful. You're not going to burn the wood. I'm warming up the tube, and I have some wax. Warming up the tube. I'm going to melt some wax on the tube. I'm risking getting close to that wood, but that's okay. I'm not going to do, and then I've melted the wax, and I'm pushing, it's going to seal the tube in there. So I've got wax melted around the tube, sealing the tube into the hole. Then I just let that cool. I don't want to push it in too far, but then I also am going to have to replace the pad on the register key because the diameter is a little different of the vent. And you won't be able to tell this, but this is a little smaller than this. So I'm going to replace the pad because that diameter is different to fit on that, to seal. So I'm just cleaning the excess wax off. And I'm going to replace that pad, so cleaning the extra wax off. I'm also using a pipe cleaner, clean out the tube. Okay. We're going to go with disassembly. When I took the register key off, I already swedged it. It was a little loose, so I already swedged this one. I'm putting the rods back in the keys because my clarinet board is occupied at the moment. So I'm checking to see if I've got some side play in the thumb ring. Just a little bit. So I'm taking that off. Now I'm going to swedge this because I have some room. I'm looking at it. I like the cork. I'm going to leave the bumper cork, but I need to swedge a little bit to take away some of that lost motion. So I take my swedging pliers and I grab the tube and I squeeze and I twist. And I try not to go too far, because then if I do, I have to cut the tube. So file it and cut it back down. So then I test fit it again. And I'm almost there, just a tiny bit more. A little bit. So squeeze and twist. And I like to twist as much around the whole circumference as I can. I test fit it again. It feels pretty good. It should go on freely, but there shouldn't be any space between the posts. Tighten the rod all the way. And now I don't have any end-to-end play in there. So, and it moves freely. That's critical. So, and I take the rod and I put it back where it came from. Okay. Next I go up top. I'm going to go to my A flat key. Pull the rod out. I'm looking at the bumper, looks good. The adjustment screw looks good. A key, there's a little bit of play there. I'm going to do some swedging. So you've got a couple short tubes on the A key. A couple short tubes. So I'm going to swedge a little bit on each side. You see it's kind of dusty. This clarinet's been sitting for a while. I'm swedging. I'm going to go the opposite way. Swedging. I always want to make sure that the tube is supported by the rod. So the rod is in the tube. I don't want to crush that tube. Go to the other side. Squeeze a little bit. I'm going to test fit it. That's good. I don't have any side-to-side play now. And it moves freely. So, taking care of that. Put the rod in the key it came from. Alright. Now, I'm going after the upper one. There isn't a whole lot to swedge on this F sharp B. Sometimes you just need to turn the rod in all the way. Takes care of that play. Removing that long rod. You notice the top end of this came loose because the rod is supporting it. Pull it out. Although I know what rod that is, I'm still going to put it back in the key. And I'm going to unhook the spring on the DA ring. Looking at rubber corks. That looks pretty good. Checking the E flat, B flat. There's some side play there. It's the one we use, one of the keys we use the most to get the most wear. So I'm going to swedge some of this. And you notice that my sledging pliers are tapered at the ends. That's so it can fit on this key. If you've noticed, if you've looked at it, you notice how the hinge tube is tapered or angled. I'm trying to find a good view here. There. You can see the hinge tube is tapered or angled on the key itself. So that means I can get this swedging pliers on there because it's tapered. I just really like these pliers. I mean, if I were to get new ones, I think I would get the collet type. I think they would support a little more of the tube. But these are my trusty ones, and I don't think I can find any more like this out there. So I've looked. So I've swedged it a little bit. I'm going to fit it. Turn the rod in. I'm going to blow that flame out because we're not using it right now. And I've got it free. And I don't have any more side play. That key comes off. I think I'm going to adjust that spring. The spring is a little tight. So, let's see. Just going to take my pliers. Straighten that spring a little bit. I'm going to test fit it again. I think I like that better. I may have to adjust that tube a little bit. I think I went a little far. And of course, you know, the best way to check it is when you play it. We'll see how that feels when I put it back together. I think it's pretty close. Needs to be cleaned, needs to be lubed. I think it's pretty close, and I like that spring tension better. Seemed a little hard. Rod back in the key. The next one I'm going to check. Got a little play in that F sharp key. This again is a tricky one to take off. You have to put it at an angle, but I think you're all getting used to things like that. I'm going to do a little swedging on this one. There's a little play there. Not a ton. And this has two tubes, again, a short one and a longer one on each side of the key. So I'm just going to do a little bit and set it back in there and see how it came out. Yeah, I like that better. Notice you just turn the rods out, then they stop, there are no more threads. Then you grab the rod with the pliers. Actually, I think I'm going to do a tiny bit more. We've got snow outside today. So I'm grabbing it and twisting and squeezing. Just so I squeeze that tube down around the rod and make it fit a little better. And you're going to get the feel of all this. It will help you to have the swedging pliers eventually. You know, for a student instrument, a marching instrument, it's going to be up to you how much time you want to spend. But for a professional instrument, you should take away all the lost motion. We call that lost motion. There's extra wiggle in there that you don't want to have. I'm looking at these. Oh, those are good. Those are good. Taking those off. These are your telescoping keys. I'm going to take them apart. And then I'm going to put the rod in the small tube. Of course, you don't want to put it in the big tube because it won't fit. It'll fall out. Then my C sharp, G sharp. I'm also going to replace both tenon corks on this. And then my E flat, B flat, left side. Okay, so now I've got all the keys off of it. I need to take the corks off, and that's my little scraper tool, and put new corks on. So when I figure out how to get this camera where I can take it around, move it around, I will show you how to do that. But right now I'm just going to take the corks off. And see how I'm just scraping the old cork off of the tenon. You've seen me do tenon corks many times, but this tool really works well. It goes in the trash. Get the upper one. There we go. Take that cork off. All right, I'm going to pause it here and come back. I'm going to replace these corks and come back.